Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. Excited to get started today on episode 1958 of the Cabral Concept. Really looking forward to be able to break down the ancient Ayurvedic protocols that they've been using for the past 6,000 plus years. Now, I was fortunate enough to be able to learn these by actually doing a lot of my doctoral internships in Sri Lanka and in India multiple times as well. So this is simply me passing along the information I've been able to learn over the past, now over a decade. It's been somewhere around 14 years now, 15 years of learning these Ayurvedic-based principles. And especially from my mentor, Dr. Pete, who worked directly under Dr. Vasant Lad, which is a great lineage in terms of Ayurvedic medicine. So Dr. Lad coming from India, from Pune, coming over here to the United States, I believe setting up a school in Albuquerque it was, and my mentor, Dr. Pete, actually writing his textbooks for him from all of the lectures that he had put together. And then I got to learn directly from her. So I feel myself, absolutely very, very fortunate and grateful to be able to have such amazing mentors. And again, I would be remiss if I didn't mention my mentors, Dr. Moriari up in the foothills of the Himalayas, Dr. Talavane in Mysore, all of the doctors at the Ayurvedic clinic in Kerala that I was at, and also Dr. Souza, as well as many others in Sri Lanka where I studied. So what I want to do today is share with you a lot of what is being rediscovered today so that you don't need to wait another 10 years, 20 years for them to finally pull together the proper protocols for intermittent fasting and fasting in general. So one of the amazing things that Ayurveda taught about, and again, this is being rediscovered because this was written about over 6,000 years ago, is that the body begins to accumulate toxins over time. And again, a lot of people like to dismiss toxins simply because they don't understand it enough and they can't see it, right? So when you eat an apple from a conventional based farm, that apple is heavily sprayed. Okay, it's heavily sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, other items to keep all of the bugs away from it, because if they didn't, the bugs would eat many of those apples and that would destroy the harvest, and of course the farmers wouldn't make money. So they spray it with tons and tons of pesticide, right? When you eat the apple, you can't necessarily see the pesticide unless you know what a regular apple looks like that isn't covered in pesticide. And also, you can't necessarily see all the waxes and everything else that's put on it. Same goes for your shampoo. When you pour out your shampoo, you can't see sodium lauryl sulfate and parabens and phthalates. You just don't see those things. When you're brushing your teeth, you don't see the fluoride in the water, the chlorine in the water that destroy your gut flora, that harm your thyroid. You don't see any of those things. The triclosan that has been shown to cause cancer, right? So what I'm saying to you is this, is that Ayurveda, even though they didn't have all these different poisons back then, there was other environmental-based factors. There certainly were. And they realized that about the age of 30, so this is the first big Ayurvedic reveal today, around the age of 30 is when fasting should begin for most people. Okay, now it can start earlier, and I do actually recommend it earlier now. And the reason I do that is because we live in a world where there are over 100,000 man-made chemicals. I talk about this in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect, in the free course that I give away at equa.life/detox-course. We'll link that up today at stephencabral.com/1958. We'll link everything up there. I'll also link up my previous Ayurvedic-based shows as well, and in the intermittent fasting ones. But what I want to share with you is this, is that over time we begin to accumulate internal toxins. That means our body breaking down internally and not being able to remove a lot of these things, as well as external factors from any one, usually hundreds per day, of external-based toxins. Now, again, for anybody who doesn't believe in toxicity, that's okay as well. For anybody who believes that our body automatically rids itself of these toxins every single day, very easy to prove it that that is not the case at all. Again, I write about this in the rain barrel effect, but anybody can prove it to themselves. They can run an environmental toxicity test, and that is going to show you the different pesticides or vehicle-based car fumes or all sorts of different what are called xylenes from flame retardants. You'll see all of that on that. And again, if you come back at a 0 in all categories, well, you'll have been the first person that I've ever seen in my over a decade of looking at these labs. So, and again, this doesn't mean that you have to be overly worried, but it should impress upon you the fact that all humans need to be fasting in some way or another. Now, the difference is this, is that in Ayurvedic medicine, not everybody fasts the same way. In our Western-based mindset, we like to do an all-for-one, right? Everybody should be on a high-fat diet. Everybody should be on a low-fat diet. Everybody should be on a high-protein diet. Everybody should be on a low-protein diet. It's just all for one, right? Everybody should be eating completely plant-based, or everybody should be eating completely carnivore. And what Ayurveda does is it talks about bio-individuality. So I've always practiced bio-individuality because, again, that is the way that I got well. I realized that there are foundational-based protocols that every human needs to follow because we're humans. And then after that, it should be customized for us. So when we're talking about fasting, what I want to share with you is this. When I was in Ayurvedic clinics all over the world, and by that I mean in Europe, I was in Ayurvedic clinic that was also medically based as well, but they did a lot of Ayurveda. I traveled all over India, from literally all the way down in Kanyakumari, the very tip of India, all the way up to the Himalayas. And I got to study herbs, and I got to do panchakarma, all sorts of great things. Amazing, amazing time. And then, of course, the island off of India, which is the country of Sri Lanka. And that was an amazing, amazing time in its own right, being able to learn inside of a clinic where hundreds of people would gather at this clinic, patients of the clinic, and come in with some pretty debilitating issues and walk out so much healthier. And a lot of that was based on fasting. Now, some of it was water fasting. Some of it was juice-based fasting, and some of it was simply intermittent fasting. So how do they look at it? How do they know who to do with what? Well, it was really based on the constitution of the individual. So what we looked at was this person, this is a really important one, was this person more of a Vata body type or ectomorph? And if you don't know what that is, I'm going to link up my Ayurvedic podcast. Start back at the beginning of them. Understand what your constitution is. But if you have thinner joints, and if you're just left to your regular lifestyle, I always say to people like, hey, let's say you weren't really watching what you ate, you weren't really exercising. Would you lose weight or gain weight? And it's a pretty straightforward question, right? If you just ate what you wanted to, would you lose weight or gain weight? And the Vatas will oftentimes trend more towards weight loss, right? Almost 100% of the time. And a kapha-based body type, which are thicker joints, more mass in the body, they're going to trend more towards weight gain. So right there alone, you know that there cannot be one diet for both individuals. I can't go over that today. I will in the future, and I have on previous podcasts. But you know that then it doesn't make sense for everyone to be on the same diet. One person, if they're not really watching what they're eating, they lose weight. And if another person, if they're not watching what they're eating, they gain weight. And then the pit is in the middle where they can trend towards weight gain or weight loss. Well, so now the fasting is the same for them as well. So now when we look at it, should a Vata be doing long fasts? In Ayurveda, they would say no. So they would say a Vata body type that's already prone to losing weight and is already lean. And I'll go over this in depth from a modern-based science perspective as well in the coming weeks. But when they fast, they're actually going to lose a lot of muscle. They're going to become much more catabolic. And this makes sense because the truth is this, that a Vata-based body type doesn't have a lot of body fat. And that's the stores that we're looking to tap into. So when it's done moving through its glycogen, and Vata is burned through glucose very, very quickly, which is why they do fine with carbs. You probably have a friend right now who can eat all the carbs they want and they never gain weight. Well, they're most likely a Vata body type, right? Or they're younger in age, before the age of 30, before, metabolism begins to shift a little bit. So, well, what happens? Well, that person then starts to strip away muscle. right? You might say, well, I'm getting deeper into autophagy. Well, you're getting deeper into autophagy, yes, but at the same time, it can be detrimental because you have lost a lot of the connective tissue, muscle tissue, etc. And that's why a longer fast has to be tempered. For those vatas, we would often give them fruit and lighter foods to keep blood sugar stable. They would still be in a level of autophagy, but let's save that again for another show. But what should that vata be doing on a daily basis? Well, in Ayurveda, it was typically 12 hours. Okay, so an intermittent fast was what was most appropriate. It was most appropriate for the vata-based body type, the body type that loses weight much more easily. So 12 hours, and I'll get into when you should stop eating at night and when you should begin. This is really, really important for every body type. But for a vata, I'll give part of it away right now. Everyone should stop eating at about 6 p.m. at night. Okay, so that's typically the very latest in Ayurveda that they want you to eat. Now, let's talk about that at the end. This is really important because we need to come up with a concept of switching lunch and dinner. I'll teach that at the very end. All right. So what about vatas doing a quarterly fast, though, for 2 days or so, like we do on our functional medicine detox or equal life detox? In Ayurveda, they would say that's okay. It's a shortened fast, and you are giving the proper nutrients so that they do not become too catabolic, which is exactly what we do. But we do that not just for vata-based body types. We do it so that your liver has the nutrients it needs for phase 1 and phase 2. So it helps people who need to lose weight. Now, if you're really worried about losing weight, what do? Well, we tell people if you're worried about losing weight in the functional medicine detox, you do smoothies 4 times a day. That's it. You do smoothies 4 times a day, and then you'll be less likely to lose the weight. Okay, so the next body type we have is the Pitta body type. They're in the middle. I'm not going to explain the whole Pitta body type. Again, I'm going to link up plenty of shows for you for free to check those out. So what I want to share with you is this, though. Typical fasting range for them is somewhere between 12 to 14 hours. Could be 14 to 16 hours if they're a little bit more prone to weight gain. So, and then for them, a weekly, once a day, 24-hour fast could be fine, or a monk fast could be okay, without a doubt. And the functional medicine detox once a quarter every 12 weeks is definitely okay. So again, I can't give you, if you have specific medical conditions, I can't say this is okay for you. I'm not giving medical advice, but in terms of body types, it is, right? And then for the kapha-based body type, there is a good 14 to 16 hours, sometimes even more recommended in Ayurveda, as well as a weekly 1 day or monk fast. If you don't know what a monk fast is, we will link that up today at stephencabral.com/1958. Okay, and then absolutely the kapha, in my opinion, really needs to start out with a 21-day functional medicine detox, and then quarterly, just like in Ayurveda, you're going to complete a little bit longer of a detox. All right, so this is really important. All of this comes down to this. And this is an important principle before I get to daily nutrition and fasting. In Ayurveda, you want to build up Agni, okay, A-G-N-I, which is your metabolism, your digestive fire. And you want to decrease Ama, which is toxins, toxic buildup, mucus, all the things that create inflammation, pathogens, etc. Okay, Ama would be any toxin. All right. So the goal then is to keep that metabolism and digestive system strong to then break down Ama. And intermittent fasting can do that. However, there's a caveat. The longer you fast, the weaker your Agni gets, which is very interesting. The weaker your digestive fire gets. So a friend of mine just completed a 10-day water fast out in California. And doing that decreases your digestive system. And this really has to be medically supervised because you need to slowly reintroduce food in order to safely then be able to break it down and absorb it. Many people have gotten quite sick and even died from doing a longer fast and then having a big meal. It really, the body is not ready for that at all. It's been slowing down its digestive system. So the goal then with intermittent fasting is to fast long enough to break down Ama, toxins in Ayurveda, while not weakening your digestive fire, your flame, okay? So I already went down the hours per day. However, it looks like this. The strongest time of digestion which is pretty much when anybody should be eating, even if you only do one meal a day, although check out my podcast on 1 meal a day, the OMAD diet, okay? You want to be eating between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Now, that's lunchtime for most people, around 12 o'clock or so. This is really important because acne actually weakens. The digestive system actually gets weaker the later in the day that it gets. But what do we talk about in our Western-based culture? Oh, well, the largest meal of the day is at night, right? You go 23 hours and you have one meal at night, a lot of people. You sit down and you have a big meal at night. It is the single worst time to eat. The single worst time. In Ayurvedic medicine, and I've taught this before, and almost no one has shared this, but again, it's not my information to keep to myself. The best meal to skip for daily intermittent fasting is dinner. Your results will most likely triple, not double. Your results will most likely triple for health, for weight loss, for anti-aging if you skip dinner, not breakfast. Everybody's teaching you to skip breakfast. It is the single biggest mistake that people are teaching in intermittent fasting. The single biggest mistake. And here's why. Your digestive system is ready for food an hour or so if you're a Vata, to a couple hours if you're a Pitta, to maybe 3-4 hours if you're a Kapha after you wake up. You're meant to eat during the daylight hours. That's when your body is moving. There's more catabolism. There's more digestive fire. As the sun sets and gets darker, your body is going into a slow down mode, weakened digestive mode, and repair mode. It mimics nature. Ayurveda knew this. Flowers open up in the morning with the sunlight and they close in the evening for repair at night. Their nutrition is the sunlight. Part of a human's nutrition, believe it or not, is actually sunlight and food and water. So if you are doing an intermittent fast right now and you are skipping breakfast, I invite you to try skipping dinner, or you don't even need to. Again, I don't necessarily recommend skipping meals. Neither did Ayurveda. If you are a Vata, you're going to eat within about an hour or so after waking up because you drop into hypoglycemia and low blood sugar. If you're a Pitta, you'll wait about an hour or 2 hours after waking. If you're a Kapha, you might wait until 10 a.m. and have breakfast at 10 a.m. like I teach in Fatlocity. I teach the weight loss system based on science and also ancient-based science through our Fatlocity-based system. You can read more about that if you'd like at equa.life/Fatlocity. Again, it's backed up by 25 clinical studies. So here's the thing though. I'm just going to give you the eating times. 10 a.m., around 1 p.m., and then 5 p.m. So you are getting a 16-8 fasting window for the Kaphas, definitely not for the Vatas. However, we put 3 meals in there so you get all the nutrition you need, and then we're not overfilling you at any one meal, and we're also getting the spacing between meals. And the breakfast is just enough to get you to lunch, which is your largest meal of the day, and then dinner should really be your smallest or easiest to digest. In Ayurveda, in ancient Rome and other places, they did soup for dinner. Supper equals soup. They did a light meal. Breakfast, breaking the fast, right? Your dinner was actually a mid-time meal. So we have to understand is that we want to make sure that we are following a lot of the ancient traditions, which was actually best for us because it was based on more rhythms of nature that we share in the world. When the sun starts to set, we don't all of a sudden then ramp up our eating. So I just wanted to share this with you today. I'm going to definitely add more information in the future. And I'm also happy to take your questions on this. So do feel free to leave them below the video or in the comments, and I'd be happy to take those as well. But my time is up for the day. I have much more to teach you, and I'm going to link up a lot of research on Ayurveda in previous shows at stevencabral.com/1958. And of course, if this show is helpful, please do feel free to pass it along to anybody else you believe it could serve. Thanks so much for tuning in today. You know I appreciate it. I truly do. And right now going on over at Equalife, we have an amazing offer. We are literally giving away one of our most popular products, and that is the Advanced Collagen Support. This is one of the only collagen products actually backed up by science. That means there are 3 patented ingredients One of them is called Fortigel, the other one Tendoactive, and the last one Mobily. These are all used to clinically support your muscles, your skin, your nails, and your hair. That means after these products were created, they went through actual scientific research and were proven to improve the anti-aging based processes that naturally happen in our body, but after the age of about 25 to 30 years old, they start to go downhill a little bit each and every year by percentages. Well, those percentages add up. And that's why when you use a product that's backed by clinical science like advanced collagen support, you get to take back those anti-aging based qualities about your body. You give your body what it needs in order to repair the hair, the skin, the nails, the muscles, the tissues, and the joints. So this is the absolute best product to add to your daily nutritional support smoothie. You take the complete protein, which is the daily nutritional support, all your vitamins, all your minerals, and then you add in your advanced collagen support. Now, if you choose not to do it that way, that's okay. You can add advanced collagen support to your favorite tea, your favorite coffee, your oatmeal, because it mixes instantly. So get your free bottle. This is an amazing $59 value. So you get it completely free over at equi.life. That's EQUI.LIFE. Yours free on all qualifying purchases this week while supplies last. Take care.